Hi folks, my name's David Fine. Welcome to the Watch Your Lip Fast Fish Beach Fishing Series, where we're going to show you how to be a successful beach fisherman. Today, we are going to learn all about what type of bait aeration live well system can you have at the beach that works. Guys, check this video out. Let's get to it. Okay folks, let's be real. Keeping your bait alive and fresh is one of the most important things you can do. It's literally the difference between a successful fishing trip and a failed fishing trip. Having fresh bait's key. So here's a couple tips on how to be successful on keeping your bait alive, keeping your bait fresh. What do I use, Dave, to keep my bait alive and fresh? Well, a lot of people just use a 5-gallon bucket, and that's great. It works for the vast majority of things that you'll need at the beach. If you're going with a couple fishing poles and you just need a couple dozen baits, you have a 5-gallon bucket, you get a little bubbler with an aerator stone at the bottom with some D batteries, and you flip the switch, and that bucket will keep a dozen or 2 dozen live pilchards alive for a long time. And so that's all you need, really. One of the tricks is no matter what your bait system is, if your bait is gonna be in that bucket for a prolonged period of time, more than a half an hour or an hour or more, you're gonna need to switch out the water. Very, very important. And here's why. Bait fish actually release urea or toxins through their skin in the water. And so what that does is that poisons them. And if you don't switch out with fresh water, I don't care how much bubbles you put in that tank, your bait is going to die. So every half hour, every hour or so, take your bucket, dump, 2/3 of it out, and put some fresh water in. It'll keep your bait live and healthy. But in the meantime, they need to be aerated, so make sure you have that bubbler in your 5-gallon bucket. Now, I prefer having a little bit larger of a bucket because typically, we'll catch 6 or 7 dozen pilchards. Sometimes in one cast, if you have a good cast, you get 6 or 7 dozen pilchards. Or if you're fishing mullet, if you have a 9-inch mullet, your 5-gallon bucket is only 10 inches long, so that he's going to have a hard time swimming around if he's 9 inches and your bucket's 10 inches. So I tend to use a little bit of a bigger bait well system. And this is the one I use. It works very well. It's about $100 that you can buy them online, or I got this one at Bass Pro. But it uses alligator clips, and it clips up to a 12-volt battery. So you gotta make sure your battery's charged. But a 12-volt battery will have this thing going for 2 days if you want. So it's very, very convenient. And this is a 20-gallon system, so it will keep a lot of fish alive for a long time. Plus, the reason I use a bigger bait well is when I'm transporting things to and from the truck, a lot of times I just put my cast net bucket, my tackle box inside of the big bait well system, and it's got these nice convenient handles on the side, and I can bring all my stuff down, and it's actually a transportation carrier as well. Then it becomes a bait well down on the beach, and so that's very helpful as well. But when we're fishing, guys, a lot of times I like to go catch blue runners or a ladyfish or something where I'm going to use a bigger bait to bring out with a kayak or something like that, and try and catch a big tarpon or a big barracuda or something along those lines. And a 5-gallon bucket's just not going to cut it. So that's why I use a bigger aerator system. Guys, maintaining your bait well is very important. You want to make sure you clean it out after every use. And even with this aerator pump system, you got to make sure you clean it out with fresh water, because there are mechanical parts inside of there and that will rust, they'll corrode just like anything else. So make sure you clean it out with fresh water, and from time to time you can oil these parts here, and it'll last a very long time. So guys, it's pretty simple. Depends on what you're fishing for. If you're fishing with crabs or shrimp or sand fleas, all you need is a very small bucket, and you can keep a ton of stuff in there as long as you have an aerator pump or a bubbler. If you're fishing larger fish, pilchards are kind of wimpy. They need fresh water and fresh air, you know, and there's some foam that can start to build up over the time if you have a lot of baits in there. Guys, don't overcrowd your bait well. You know, if you catch 100 bait fish and you have a 5-gallon bucket, I don't care if you have 100 bubblers in there, they're gonna die within a couple minutes. So don't overdo it. Only keep what you're gonna use. You know, have that self-control. I know that's a tough one. You catch 100 big pilchards like this, you want to keep them all, but then if you keep them all, you wind up having none because they all die in a couple minutes. So just keep what you need, release the rest. Let's, you know, try and put as much of that bait back in the water as you can, because we always want there to be more for the future generations. Make sure those bait fish go back in the water if you're not using them. And finally, make sure you're cleaning up your area where you're fishing. A lot of people just leave their dead bait on the beach, and people really don't like that, especially if it's a public beach access area. So make sure you're cleaning your stuff up and taking it home with you or disposing of it in a proper manner. And let's keep our reputation as fishermen good, right? So guys, give me a thumbs up if you liked the video. Hope you learned something, picked up a few pointers. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications. Let us know what you'd like me to talk about next and what you want to know and learn about how to be a successful beach fisherman. We'll put some more videos together for you. So guys, God bless, take care, stay safe, watch your lip.